there's a new generation. If they're going to draft these young black men and send them over to Korea or South Vietnam to face 800 million Chinese.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome once again to this show, The Winning Goal, in which we are dealing with some aspects of what it means to win and what is the Islamic meaning for achieving your goal. And really this is this is a series of topics that we've been discussing, and we just started off by discussing that the Muslims' reality and the Muslims' inspiration and motivation should be really to achieve winning his goal or her goal. You should have a goal, and that's what we spoke about last week. We spoke about every person should try and have a mission and a vision in life, so that then when they see that vision and when they can realize and make that vision a reality for them, then they can work to the vision. And we mentioned a little bit about some aspects of that vision. And today we're going to move on from that, inshallah, and speak about when you have a vision and you have a goal, what is an important part of trying to really go for that goal, try to achieve that goal. And there we have a very important point, and that is something which is seen with the greatest people who achieve throughout their lives, from the past till present, whether they achieved in aspects of their deen and their ibadah, or whether they achieved in aspects of their dunya, they had a common reality to them. And that's what we're talking about today. The reality in which the Prophet ﷺ said, أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ. The most beloved actions to Allah are those which are continuous, even if they are little. Because when you do continuous work, when you do continuous activity, then that will actually become more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ. There are maybe small actions, but there has to have that nature of continuity, that nature of persistence with the action. And that's what we talk about today, inshallah. So this program, The Winning Goal, is about how to achieve your goals, what it means to be a success and winning. And inshallah, I will be talking for a short while, then we will obviously open the lines. Anybody has any questions about this topic, or in fact if you have questions about other topics as well, Islamic topics, then you are more than welcome to phone the number which is at the bottom of the screen, just there. And so phone in there, and inshallah you can ask your questions in the second half of the show. What we have as well, inshallah ta'ala, so what we said before is that we have this issue of persistence. And if you look in the Quran, you look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about Nuh alayhi salam, who was an extreme example, an excellent, a beautiful example of persistence, because his mission and the mission of the prophets was inviting people to the worship of the one God. It was invitation, it was da'wah, and so on. So Nuh alayhi salam, he was persistent, as were all the prophets. But you can see it so highlighted in the mission of Nuh, because Allah said, فَلَبِثَ فِيهِمْ أَلْفَ سَنَةٍ إِلَّا خَمْسِينَ عَامًا. He remained with them, with his people, giving da'wah, inviting people, telling us for 1,000 years, but for 50. So 950 years, he was persistent. He was ongoing with his mission. He was continuing to go with his da'wah. So you can see that example of persistence. And if we look throughout history and we look throughout, the examples of those people who came with the prophets or after the prophets, we can see that highlighted in their life. Let's look at, for example, You look at Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he was again a man of persistence. We spoke about him in the previous, I think about 2 weeks ago, when we spoke about part of winning your goal is that you have to have a competitive nature. You have to be ready to compete. As Allah says, وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. And with this regards, those who want to compete, they should compete. So you have to compete, you have to have that nature of competition, but don't compete for things which are going to come to waste. Don't compete for things which are trivial, things which are not going to count. Compete for things which are high. Compete for things which are going to matter. Compete for things which are excellent, and that's what you should be competing for. So when we talked about Abu Bakr and his persistence in competition, this was a man who was persistent with his competition, trying to always achieve this reality of competition. He was always going for competition. He was at the forefront, and we mentioned some stories in this regards. He was always at the front in terms of his actions, in terms of giving charity, even in terms of giving good tidings. As we mentioned the story of with Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he was ready to do that. So I'm not going to repeat that story, but if you go back and watch the previous episodes, you'll see that story of how Abu Bakr radiallahu anh was persistent in achieving his mission in terms of competition. And then if you look at Umar radiallahu anh, Umar was also a man who had a vision, and vision was justice. He heard the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ who said that one of the 7 categories that Allah will shade on the shade of His throne when there is no shade except His, سَبْعٌ يُضِلُّهُمُ اللَّهُ يَوْمَ لَا ظِلَّ إِلَّا ظِلُّهُ. He said, Imamun Adil, a just ruler, someone who rules, a leader who is just. And Umar had that in terms of his ambition and his vision, and he was persistent in that. He was trying to achieve that in every aspect of his life, and especially obviously when he was the ruler and he ruled the Muslim world for 10 years, and trying to impose justice on the people, trying to impose justice on the people, to the extent that when one of the leaders, one of the governors in Egypt, the son of the governors in Egypt, the son of Amr ibn As, as is being reported, when he hit son of a guy who was a Coptic Egyptian, so he wasn't a Muslim, and he was from the people of Egypt living there at that time. There was a race between them, and the Egyptian Coptic, he beat the son of the leader or the governor of Egypt at that time, and the son he hit the guy who beat him, which was injustice. Umar, when he heard about this, and when in fact when the guy came and complained to Umar because of his justice, he called to the governor in Egypt, Amr ibn al-As, and his son, and he said, come here, come to Medina. And he brought them all the way to Medina, and he said, what happened here? And they obviously, after this, he said his famous saying, he said, مَتَى اسْتَعْبَدْتُمُ النَّاسِ وَقَدْ وَلَدَتْهُمْ أُمَّهَاتُهُمْ أَحْرَارًا. When did you enslave the people? When did you have the right to treat people like slaves, when their mothers have given birth to them as free people? And he allowed that Egyptian Coptic who was hit wrongfully to hit back that person who had committed injustice. This justice of Umar was so manifest that he said his famous saying, he said, by Allah, Wallahi law atharat baghlatun fi ardi al-Iraq لظننت أن الله سائلني عنها لما لم تسوي لها الطريق يا عمر. The justice that prevailed with Umar was that, to the extent that he said, by Allah, if a mule were to stumble in Iraq, it were to stumble on one of the paths, one of the ways in Iraq, I would be afraid that Allah will ask me about that. Why did you not make the road straight for it, O Umar? Why didn't you make the road straight for it, Umar? So you can see how he was so manifest in his justice, and he attained it. That was his vision, that was his achievement, that was his goal, and he attained it. And he attained it as in Arabic we say, الحق ما شهد له الأعداء the truth is that which the enemy is witness to, because your enemy is not going to usually tries to speak bad of you, or tries to despise you, or demote you in some way. So if the enemy is saying something good about you, then it must be true, because they're not going to lie for your sake. And that is when Umar radiallahu anh was in Medina, and the Roman ambassador came, and he was looking for Umar, this man who had the Muslim under his leadership. The Muslims had reached so vast land, Persia and Rome was shaking from the fear of this great man who had his justice has spread throughout the world. So when he came to look for Umar, he was expecting to see Umar, this great emperor. He expected him to be wearing the best clothes in a big palace. When they said, where is Umar? They said, I don't know, we'll go and look for Umar. So go and look, he might be in his house. So they went first of all to the masjid, couldn't find him there. They went to his house. He saw his house was a small hut. This is the hut from which this leader is leading the rest of the world. And there is no guard at the hut. There's nobody standing there. And they looked for him in the hut. They couldn't find him there. So the whole city was looking, where is Umar? Where is the leader? So then when they found him sleeping in the shade of a tree with his sandals as his pillows. And then that Roman ambassador said his famous saying, he said, "Adilta fa'aminta fanimta." You were just, and because of your justice, you felt the security, and so you fell asleep. There's no guard, there's no one overlooking him, he's sleeping on sandals on the earth. This is the justice that Umar radiallahu anhu. So you can see that the persistence in his vision, he managed to achieve this reality of justice in his life. If we look at someone like, Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, one of the great Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ, and also not only that, but he's one of the 10 people who Allah, through the Messenger ﷺ, promised Al-Jannah. Abdul Rahman fil Jannah, the Prophet ﷺ said, promised him Al-Jannah. He's one of the Ashara al-Mubashirin fil Jannah. So Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, and he was from Quraysh, when he first went to Medina, and the Prophet ﷺ, as you know, when the Muhajirin, the migrants from Mecca came to Medina, the Prophet ﷺ joined between them, and he gave them a brother from Al-Madinah, from Ansar, because the migrants, the Muhajirin, they didn't have anything. They had left all their money, they had left their property in Medina, in Mecca. So when they came to Medina, the Prophet made each one of the Muhajirin a brother to one of the Ansar, and the brother that was associated to Abdul Rahman was Sa'ad ibn Rabi'. And Sa'ad ibn Rabi' said to Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, he said, "This is my money, this is my wealth, you can take half of it, have half of my wealth." So Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, he said, "May Allah bless you in your wealth and family, but tell me, where is the market? All I want to know is, tell me where the market of Al-Madinah is." And so his vision, this was a man who was a business minded, he was a tradesman. He knew his vision in life, and that was to be successful in terms of his skills, his entrepreneurial skills, that he could be able to actually succeed and use that money positively. So he said, "Jazakallah khair, thank you for the offer for the money, but just show me where the market is." And so they showed to him where the market, and within a week, because of his market skills and the ability to buy and sell, he had managed to actually earn a gold nugget, and from that he paid that as a mahar, and he managed to get married, and his business grew and grew and grew. So that is Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, who was an example of this great man who had a vision, and he achieved that vision in his lifetime. So inshallah, we're going to go for a break now, inshallah, and after the break we're just going to have some more examples of persistence, and then you are free to open, the line calls will be open for you to come and join us. So stay with us, inshallah, and we'll see you soon.
محمد رسول الله عليه صلاة الله وآله والأحبة لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله عليه صلاة الله وآله والأحبة Shine your mercy like the sun and be gracious as the earth. Let your kindness come like rain that cares not whom it falls upon. And let ocean deep your wisdom be, your heart a lantern spreading peace. Give yourself in love of him, be like Al-Habib. And in your deepest need and in your deepest grief, call on him in humility. Place your trust in the one to whom creation turns. You'll find redemption and find peace.
وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم حينما طلب منه الصحابة نصيحة قال أوصيكم بتقوى الله
وآله والأحبة Be a blazing fire of truth, be a soothing balm of peace. With the light of your sincerity, break the clouds of tyranny. Let your faith be like a blessed tree, give your shade to all who seek. May your roots run true and deep, take your strength from Al-Habib. Ya Nabi salam alaik, Ya Rasul salam alaik, Ya Habib salam alaik, salawatullah alaik. And know that certainty will bring tranquility, contentment with Allah's decree. Give thanks for all.
The Ashbab department is a part of the Ma Muslim Britain, and this section actually is a new section which concerned with the youth, the age between 12 to 16. And we are trying to accommodate the needs of this age group by organizing activities which brings up the best out of them.
To the company of the folk of certainty, through their gaze and through your love for them, may you be as one of them, as gentle as the whispering breeze, spread solace to the world weary. Let your heart and soul be mirror clear, give life and love to Al-Habib. Ya Nabi.
وهو الذي يحيي ويميت وله اختلاف الليل والنهار أفلا تعقلون
For all that comes, be patient and know that someday you will return to him. La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah alayhi salatullah wa alihi wal ahibba. Fast to the company of the folk of certainty, through their gaze and through your love for them, may you be as one of them, as gentle as the whispering breeze, spread solace to the world weary. Let your heart and soul be mirror clear, give life and love to Al-Habib. Ya Nabi salam alaik, Ya Rasul salam alaik, Ya Habib salam alaik, salawatullah alaik. And stand before Allah like nothing else exists, and worship him like you are seen.
If you want to make an effect, then come out and vote.
Both Islam and Britain tell us to come out, register and vote. If you don't, then who would?
If you want your voice to be heard, then come out and vote.
Our sisters are requested to register and vote.
As part of encouraging British Muslims to play a bigger role in British society, the concept of creating hope was introduced by MAB in its national conference, which was held in Birmingham 2011.
We're talking about a subject which we haven't been able to talk about for decades. Creating hope. From the very title, we understand that we're bringing positive out of negatives.
The conference was attended by over 2,500 people from all regions of the United Kingdom, with over 20 speakers speaking on a range of topics to include Muslim schools, universities, the role of politics, the history of Islam in Britain, the effect of Quran and morals in promoting hope, new Muslims creating hope, the effect of media, and much more. In the past 15 years, the Muslim Association of Britain has grown through its membership to deliver different services to the British society, Muslim and non-Muslim. We hope with your continued support to carry on growing from strength to strength to promote a better society for our future generations.
Many communities, many organizations, including the Muslim Association of Britain, what a wonderful organization this is, working day in and day out to build Muslim character, Muslim families, Muslim neighborhood, Muslim society, to engage Muslims in the wider society. Organizations like MAB, organizations like UK Islamic Mission, and many others who came together with this desire that yes, as a community, as an ummah, we can do a great deal more socially, politically, for ourselves and for our ummah at large.
Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back to the show, The Winning Goal. So just before the break, we were talking about the importance of persistence, and we're giving some examples. We said how Nuh alayhi salam with his da'wah 950 years. We said how the prophets throughout their history. We were talking about Abu Bakr with his competition. We were talking about Umar radiyallahu anh with his, with his actual work in terms of being just. And we spoke also about Abdurrahman ibn Auf, his ambitions to really be persistent with his skills in business and trade, to the extent that he actually became a successful businessman within Medina, and he became so rich and has so much ability, so much wealth, and he was helping people, he was giving, he was sacrificing, to the extent when he died, he left a little bit of his wealth for each person in Medina. And at that time, Uthman ibn Affan, who was the Khalifa, and he was a rich man, he took some of that, and he took his share which was left to him by Abdurrahman. So they said, Uthman, why are you taking this money, and you are a rich man, and why are you taking the inheritance? He said, because the money of Abdurrahman, there is barakah in that money. There is blessing. So this guy had a vision, he had a goal, and he went for that goal. And this is what we're talking about, winning goal. The winning goal, what does it mean to you as a Muslim? To have a goal and to really be successful. That's what we're talking about, success. And if you'd like to call us, then the telephone number is there in front of the screen. Give us a call, inshallah. We welcome your comments and questions, and any questions you might have about any other topic as well, inshallah. Now, another example of someone who was persistent was someone like Abdullah ibn Abbas. Abdullah ibn Abbas was a young man. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, he was a young boy. He was about 10 years old or so. Abdullah ibn Abbas had the aim, the goal. He wanted to win. He wanted to be a scholar. He wanted to be a alim. He wanted to be someone who could learn the deen and teach it to the people. And so he did that. Did he sit at home, okay, with his cup of tea and just waiting for knowledge to fall down on the sky? Is that how you achieve your goal? No, but of course not. He was a man who was working hard. He would sleep in the dusty, windy days in front of the doorsteps of the other big companions, the other old companions, so that when they wake up, he would be there. He would be at their doorstep, ready to take the knowledge, the information. Because if you want to learn, you have to give, you have to sacrifice, you have to be ready to go the extra mile, as we said last time. Man talaba al-ula sahara al-layali, the one who wants the highest level, he has to stay awake at night, and he has to give of his time, of his health, his ability, he has to sacrifice. And he has to be persistent. And that's what Abdullah ibn Abbas was. He kept on being persistent with learning the knowledge. So he managed to win, he managed to score the winning goal in becoming a scholar, a knowledgeable scholar at that, to the extent that Abdullah ibn Abbas was a great man in all times. And he, even though he was a young child, a young man, but he used to sit amongst the elders, the seniors, in the sitting of Umar ibn al-Khattab, because this man had inner sight. He could see, he could understand the text, as was demonstrated with Surah An-Nasr, for example. Another person, these are examples from the Sahaba, people who are persistent. You have examples of people who were persistent with their competition, with their justice, with even attaining money and working for the dunya, in the terms of working for the money, but not being clinged to their hearts. We have that example. An example of people who were studying hard so that they would be excellent scholars and knowledgeable. And then you have people who came later on as well. Throughout generations, you have people who learned, they really had a mission. Take someone like Imam al-Nawawi. Imam al-Nawawi, the Shaykh al-Islam, someone who is a great man by many aspects and many balances. He was a man, again, he had a goal. He heard the hadith and he read the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. When the son of Adam dies, his actions are cut off except from 3 avenues. And one of those avenues is if you leave ilm yuntafa'u bih. You leave back knowledge which people will benefit from. So he persevered, he studied, he worked hard, to the extent that he didn't even get married. He didn't get married. He didn't have time to get married. He didn't have time to waste time eating these different foods and so on. He was a man who was persistent with his goal, and even though he only lived for 45 years, but he left so much knowledge back, Islamic knowledge, which was beneficial, that people still today and almost every Muslim household benefits from that knowledge. We have the books like the 40 Nawawi books, Al-Arba'in al-Nawawiyya, and we have the books like Riyadh al-Salihin. These were books which are compiled by Imam al-Nawawi and brought together. You have books like Al-Adhkar and many other books that he wrote, such that some of the scholars said, we don't know how he had the time to write all these books, because he only lived for 45 years. So you can see again, example of persistence in achieving that winning goal. This is what we're talking about, respected viewers. And again, it is an aspect of trying to be persistent. We welcome your calls. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask, or any comments about this topic, or any topic you would like to ask about, if we have the ability to answer, inshallah, we will answer. The telephone number is at the bottom of your screen, and you're welcome to call. Another example of persistence, and in terms of not only knowledge, but in terms of really persistence. Look at the example of someone who was persistent. Oh, it's okay, so we have a caller. We'll come back to that example, inshallah. Yes, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Hanan and I'm calling from Bristol.
MashaAllah, welcome to the show, The Winning Goal. And Hanan, what is your question or comment?
My question is, why did Allah make Judgment Day?
Okay, MashaAllah, very good question, Hanan, well done. Why does Allah make Judgment Day, or why is there a Judgment Day? Jazakallah khair, thanks for the question. Inshallah, we'll answer that question now. And Hanan is really asking, why is Judgment? And the issue of Judgment Day really is in a way linked to the topic that we're talking about, which is the winning goal. Because no matter what you do in this life, you will know that everybody believes, whether you are Muslim or not Muslim, whether you are from living in the West, living in the East, Africa, whether you are in Europe, whether in America, everybody knows that they will die one day. But those people have belief, whether they are Muslim or Christian or Jewish or some other religion, they have belief that after death there is life after death. And for us as Muslims, we believe that life after death is Judgment Day, is the Day of Judgment. Because when you die, that's when everything starts to become clear. And one of the reasons why we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Judgment Day is so, as He said, لِيَسْأَلَ الصَّادِقِينَ عَنْ صِدْقِهِمْ. He will ask those who are truthful, He'll ask them about their truth, about their actions. And those who are untruthful, He'll ask them about how untruthful. He'll ask those people who did good about why they did good, and He'll ask those who did bad about the actions who did bad. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring Judgment Day to show everybody that they have to answer Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have to be ready to answer the question, what did I do? What did I present? And that's why you as a Muslim have to know that you have to have a vision in life and you have to work for it. And when you work for it, you can understand there will come a day when if you've done good, Allah will repay you back. And if you do bad, Allah will punish you for that. So that's why you have Judgment Day. No one can escape the Judgment Day. Everybody is going to that Judgment Day. So you have to prepare and you have to do good works. Yes, we have another caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Yes, what is your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Hamza and I'm calling from Bristol.
Oh, mashallah, Hamza from Bristol as well. MashaAllah, we have some Bristol viewers today. Oh, Hamza, what is your question?
My question is, what is major shirk?
Oh, mashallah, what is major shirk?
Yeah.
MashaAllah. That's a very good question. Very important question as well. Jazakallah khair. Thanks for that question, Hamza. Hamza from Bristol is phoning us and asking what is major shirk. And as you know, shirk is really when you do something and associate with that action, you are associating someone or something other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we know that as a Muslim, you have to really, or any Muslim or human, you have to do your actions for Allah. And last time we spoke about the core. We said that your intention, what you want must be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you want reward for your action, if you want Allah to love you, if you want Allah to be happy with you, you have to do that for the right reason. You have to do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's important in our message as well when we're talking about the winning goal. Because we mentioned that last time. You have to do it for Allah. If you want to learn knowledge, you have to do it for Allah. If you want to teach, do it for Allah. If you want to earn money, do it for Allah. If you want to build a nice house, do it for Allah. If you want to go to school, do it for Allah. When you go to sleep, think about doing it for Allah. You will get reward for everything. But when you start doing something which should be for Allah and you're doing it for other than Allah, then this becomes shirk. So instead of worshipping, you do salah and you don't do the salah for Allah, you do it for something other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's a form of shirk. If you give charity, zakah, and you give it not so that you give for charity for Allah, you give it so that people say, MashaAllah, he's very generous, he's a very nice guy. You're doing it so that people can say, well done. That is a form of shirk. But these examples are minor shirk, because you're doing it to show off, you're doing it to boast. Major shirk is when you actually do some sort of ibadah other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So instead of worshipping Allah, you worship a human, or you worship money, or you worship an idol, or so on. So that is major shirk as well. And it comes in a number of forms, whether it's salah, whether it is dua, whether it is things like that. Okay, we have another question. A caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
What is your name and where are you calling from?
Hannah. My name's Hannah and I'm calling from Woolwich.
MashaAllah. Hannah from Woolwich. Welcome to the show. And what is your question?
My question is, my mother, she does health and social, health and childcare course at college. And then one of the things that she has to look at is gay rights and gay equality. And the teacher has a point of view thinking that gays are good people and stuff like that. So should she be learning about this?
Okay. So you're asking about the issue of related to homosexuals, gays, and so on.
She's unsure because, she wants to do homosexual care, but she has to learn about that. But she doesn't want to learn about that.
Okay. All right, okay, Jazakallah khair. It's a good question, important for us in our society today, in Britain and throughout the world, where we have people who are what they call heterosexual. So these are people who are, you know, a man marrying a woman, and there is what's homosexual relationship between a man or a woman. Now, in Islam, we consider this kind of relationship, which is haram, is unacceptable, is sinful. And so that really for us is what, because as Muslims we are guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're guided by religion, our belief in Allah, belief in Islam. So that's what makes us follow us. But when we are living in a society like this, society like Britain or any other society in which there is this aspect of everybody's equal, depending on what your sexuality is, or what your color is, or what your gender is, or what your age is, this kind of thing about equality, and there should be no discrimination. So we as Muslims as well have a duty of treating people equally. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want you to treat homosexuals differently, or to treat someone who is a Muslim different from someone who is a Muslim. You have a right to treat people the same. How do you feel about homosexuality? We don't like it. We are against it. It's haram. It's not acceptable. Doesn't mean that I'm going to do something bad against someone who's homosexual. We believe that somebody who has like a girlfriend or a boyfriend is not married, that's haram. It's not acceptable, whether you are homosexual or not homosexual. We do not accept it. But doesn't mean that we commit violence. We don't commit violence. We don't do that. So studying this topic is something that is part of a lot of aspects of teaching. If you study medicine today, they'll probably teach you that aspect of being equality. If you study accountancy, if you study health, all these aspects you have to learn about it, because it's become part of the standards of society. But we as Muslims, we don't accept things which are haram, whether it's related to this topic, whether it's related to other issues, stealing, drinking alcohol, drugs. All these for us are haram, and we hate those kinds of sins. Okay, we have a caller, Sister Aisha. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, Aisha. We seem to have lost that caller. We lost that caller? Okay, not to worry. So the thing is, what we're talking about in this aspect of the general topic, which is that a person tries to achieve their goal. One of these things is studying. So if you want to become, you study and become part, understand this issue of healthcare, and so you have to work, you have to study. And if you're in this country, there are rules, there are regulations which you have to abide by and study in that regards. So studying, working, becoming professional, understanding, all of these things, what is the fundamental basis? Persistence. Keep on going. Keep on going. Don't give up, because if you give up, it will be very difficult for you to achieve your goals. And that's why in the past, we can see people who really achieve what people had that enthusiasm. They had the will to carry on and to keep on going. Okay, we have another caller. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Hello. Listen through the telephone, not through the television, through the telephone.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Yons Abdullah Mahmoud, calling from Cardiff City.
MashaAllah. Welcome to the show. What is your question?
Because I would like to ask you what's the difference a Muslim that's praying 5 times a day and the one who's not praying 5 times a day.
Oh, mashallah. Jazakallah khair. It's a good question. What's the difference between a Muslim who prays 5 times a day and a Muslim who doesn't pray 5 times a day? And the simple answer is, what's the difference between someone who knows Allah and someone who doesn't know Allah? What is the difference between someone who has the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and talks to Allah, stands in front of Allah 5 times a day, and someone who doesn't stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is the difference between somebody who knows that Allah is the creator and that He is the one who gives, and therefore because He says, stand in front of me, my slave, my worshipper, and he stands in front of Him, and he feels enlightened and inspired, and he can feel that connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and someone who chooses to sleep or to have time off or not to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the difference is big. The difference is big. Those people who stand before Allah, they have the rest, the tranquility. Their salah should make them better people. Inna salata tanha anil fahsha wal munkar. Their salah will elevate them. Their salah will make them better, bigger, and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you're closer to Allah, your morals will be better, your akhlaq will be better. And I think that is a fundamental difference between someone who stands in front of Allah and the one who doesn't stand in front of Allah at the salah. We have another caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Assalamu alaikum. What is your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Abdul Fattah Khan and I'm calling from Sheffield.
MashaAllah, welcome to the show, Abdul Fattah.
And I just want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Is it halal for girls to play football?
Is it haram for girls to play football?
Yeah, is it haram?
Okay, Jazakallah khair. So the question you're asking, is it haram or is it halal? What is the ruling for girls to play football? Now, I think it's a good question as well, because it's something that is applicable today. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made certain aspects of our deen which are very clear, which we have to abide by. So the Muslim has to behave in a certain way, has to protect his modesty, has to protect. There are certain things which the woman is asked to do, because like she wears her hijab, she's asked not to put perfume when she goes out of the house, she's asked to speak, not to speak into a too soft a voice. All these things will, because she is, and when we talk about like in a soft voice in front of men and so on, all these things is to guard her as an individual. And similarly, the man is asked to act like a man, masculine, not to wear gold and jewelry and to put makeup on and things like that, which makes him feminine. So a woman has to act like a woman, man has to act like a woman. And one part of a woman acting or a girl acting like a woman is to cover herself appropriately. Now, it depends what you're talking about. If you're asking about girls who are, say, haven't reached the age of becoming an adult yet, so maybe they are 10 or younger, then there's no problem with them playing football, because that is something that is a sport, they can achieve it. But when they reach an age where they have to wear hijab and they have to cover themselves, then if playing football is in front of other people, men or other boys, then obviously the girl should try to avoid that, in my opinion. But if she is playing by herself, girls are playing by themselves, they have a separate sports hall and they're doing their exercise by themselves, or the football or the sport by themselves, then it's fine for them to play football. So it's not the issue of whether it's halal or haram to play football. It's halal for them to play football, but it's the circumstances around that which makes it halal or haram. If they're going to be in a position where others are, if they're going to be falling and maybe some of their body is exposed, or they have to wear tight clothes or whatever, that's what makes it halal and haram, rather than the actual game itself. But I think also for girls they should look for sports which probably are better for them in terms of their abilities. Wallahu a'lam, Allah knows best. Yes, we have another caller. Assalamu alaikum. Oh, so we lost that call, I think, in that regards. Just going back to the issue of the winning goal, and today we said persistence. We said persistence means keep on going, keep working at your aims, and working for your abilities. And I think part of that is a sport. Obviously, if you can play sport, or you have then you have to do that. But appreciate that there are rules and regulations. As Muslims, you have rules and regulations. You have to keep yourself, properly covered. You have to the way that you deal sport. A lot of people play sport today and they turn into different people. You know, recently today I think we heard about a referee who was, or a linesman that was killed by some teenagers who was on the losing team or something like that. So that shows that these people, these children or these teenagers, what kind of mentality they have to actually beat up a referee or a linesman. Where is the morals? Where's the behavior? It's a very dangerous line for us to go down in this way. So I think it's very important for us, even when we play sports, we have the akhlaq of the sports. And inshallah, that's something that we're going to be talking about, if Allah allows us, next time, which is that when you are working for a vision, and you are working to achieve your goal, and you want to win in that goal, we said you have the vision, and today we spoke about persistence, keep on going, sacrificing, and then there is guidance for this vision, and that is the morals, the ethical code. How do you behave? How do you present yourself? How do you do your utmost best in terms of actually doing your actions? Because if you just do actions and you don't do them properly, you don't guard yourself, you don't do your akhlaq properly, you don't have good morals, you don't have good patience, you are someone who's always angry, someone who's shouting, abusive, then you are less likely to be in a winning position. So I think the message for us here really is that when we are working to our winning goal, we have to have that persistence and we have to have the akhlaq. And inshallah, we will be talking about the akhlaq next week. Now also in terms of our persistence, okay, well, we have a caller, so yes, Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Okay, what is your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Mustafa.
Where are you phoning from, Mustafa?
London.
Okay, Mustafa from London, Assalamu alaikum. What is your question?
Salam. My question is that do the men and women pray separately in Salah?
Okay, do the men and women pray separately in Salah? And the answer is yes, they do, because when Jazakallah khair, thank you for the question. When the Prophet ﷺ showed us how people pray in the Salah, he lined the men first, then the children, the boys, and then that was followed by the women. So they pray behind the men and the boys, and then the women at the end. So they pray, they don't join together, not mix together in the same lines, but they may be praying in the same room, because in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the masjid was just one room, the men at the front, the women at the back. That is fine, that is allowed in Islam, and that's how the Prophet ﷺ did it. But they don't stand side to side next to each other. Faisal on the line? Fatima, we have Fatima on the line. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ahlan wa sahlan. Fatima, where are you phoning from?
I'm calling from Holland. I have one question, please.
Okay, yes, from Holland. You are welcome.
Thank you. What can you do to increase your iman?
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair, Fatima, for that question, and inshallah we'll answer it now. So Fatima, who's phoning from Holland, is saying, what can you do to increase your iman? And this is a very big topic, Fatima. I mean, we need a lot of issues to discuss this. It's in fact a whole topic in itself. But basically, in very simple terms, to increase your iman, you need to understand who Allah is. Because the more you know who Allah is, the more you know who your Creator is. So try to learn more about Allah through the Quran, through the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, through listening to people, to scholars, to tapes, who Allah is, how powerful Allah is, how great Allah is, how merciful Allah is, who Allah loves. So that's one thing. Secondly, you have to look at the ways which will increase your iman, because we believe that iman will increase with good deeds. The more good deeds you do, and not just do good deeds, but you have to think about the good deeds. Next time you go for salah, think about your salah, think about the wudu when you're doing wudu, think about the adhan as you hear the adhan. Don't just do it like a robot, just go and like this, or sometimes the Prophet said, some of you pray like a chicken. But pray with meaning, understand, try to connect, know who Allah is. When you're giving your charity, when you're doing your fasting, thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase your iman. So that's knowing more about Allah, doing more good deeds, And thirdly, I think which is helpful with your iman is to read the stories of the people of the past. Read the stories of the Sahaba and the scholars and those people. That will also inshallah increase your iman by the will of Allah. Okay, Jamila is on the line. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, hi. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Where are you phoning from?
I'm calling from London.
Okay, mashallah. So what is your question?
My question is, I understand that it's haram to listen to music and stuff like that, but if occasions like wedding comes up, is it haram to like go to music weddings where they like play songs and all of that?
Okay, Jazakallah khair. So you're asking about music and weddings and things like that. Well, you see, that's the thing about, like you say, a Muslim during a wedding and outside wedding, really you should behave the same as much as you can, because keeping away from things which are haram, whether it's wedding or not wedding, is all something that a Muslim should do. But nowadays there are lots of people who do anashid, which have nasheeds which have acceptable, acceptable types of instruments like drums or dufa, things like that, and acceptable words. There are lots of people out there who do that. So I think there are alternatives for us if we look for them. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا, whoever fears Allah, Allah will give him a way out. And there's always halal ways for you to entertain yourself and enjoy yourself. Okay? Jazakallah khair. Thank you for that question as well. Okay, we have Halima on the phone. Assalamu alaikum.
Good afternoon, Sheikh. Hello?
Yes, hello. Assalamu alaikum. Is it Halima?
Hello. I walk in the morning. The Salat Fajr time is about around 6 o'clock, and that time I'm doing the chore work, and some people they say if you can pray for about 5:30, and the Fajr I think is finished about end of the 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. So what is your question?
Can I pray for the 5:30?
Can you pray at 5:30? All right. So that when is the entrance time for Fajr? Where are you phoning from? Which city?
I'm calling from London.
Okay, so you're phoning from London. Okay, so in London there is obviously there's timetables. Sometimes these timetables are a little bit different from each other, but you try to stick the timetable is related to your local mosque. So if the timetable obviously is at 5:30 entrance time, and then the sunrise, which is when the sun rises above the horizon, what we call the shuruq, I think now it's about 7:45 or something like 7:45. So you have between the entrance of Fajr up to sunrise, this is the time of Fajr to pray. So you can pray any time between this, but the best time to pray Fajr is at the beginning of its time. So I don't know if that's your question, but you pray the beginning time. Don't pray before the Fajr enters, and don't pray after the sun has risen, because that's time out. Try to pray at the beginning of the time as much as possible nearer to the time. If the masjid is praying at a certain time, say the masjid is praying at 5:30 and the entrance time is 5:30, just for example, it still remains for the man who goes to the masjid better to pray with the masjid rather than to pray by himself if he can. Mahmoud on the line. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaykum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Where are you phoning from, brother Mahmoud?
Yeah, I'm calling from Norway.
MashaAllah, from Norway. Welcome.
Yeah.
Salam. What is your question or your comment?
My question is, I have been waiting for such like this chance, brother.
Yes.
My question is, most of the time I'm on the bed.
Okay.
Most of my dreaming is I'm praying all the time. When almost 1 week, 3 times or 2 times in my dreaming is I'm praying. I'm with people. I'm in masjid. I'm in praying. All my dreams to pray.
Right.
What can you just explain me this?
Oh, mashallah, okay. You are asking the interpretation of the dream. I don't have much knowledge about interpreting dreams. But someone who is praying usually means someone who is wanting to do ibadah. Someone who is interested in ibadah. And sometimes when you are someone who is focused on your ibadah, then you will see this kind of manifestation in your life, praying. But prayer also is different types, because there are certain things that are related to how you pray and the type of prayer. If someone is praying and they are devoted in their prayer, concentrating on their prayer, then their ibadah is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if somebody is praying and while he is praying he's distracted, even in his dream, he sees himself that he is not someone who is praying and devoted for Allah, that might mean that your prayer is, and your ibadah and your life, there is a little bit of impurity. But I'm not really someone who can interpret dreams. I've not really studied this, so I'm sorry for that. Yardim on the line. Yasin? Yasmin on the line. Assalamu alaikum, Yasmin. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, Yasmin, where are you phoning from?
I'm calling from London, Harrow.
Okay, mashallah, from London. What is your question? What is your question?
I just want to ask if girls are allowed to.
Yeah? Yeah, you can ask. We're listening to you.
Are girls allowed to wear trousers when they're older?
You mean in the road, in front of people? Okay, all right. Okay, I get the question, inshallah ta'ala. Can I just say, I think we're coming to the end of the show as well, so I think we have last caller, then we'll answer these questions, and then but the show is almost finished, inshallah. Okay, we have the last caller. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum.
What is your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Ibrahim. I'm calling from London.
Okay, Ibrahim from London. Welcome.
Yeah.
What is your question, Ibrahim?
Is it haram to speak slang?
Is it haram to speak slang?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question. Good question for the youth. Inshallah, we'll answer that as well. So, Jazakumullah khair. We're unable to take any more calls at this moment because we run out of time, but we'll just answer those two questions. Yasmin was asking, is it acceptable for a woman to wear trousers? Now, if you are, some of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet ﷺ have explained to us is that the woman has to, when she is older, she has to dress in a way that she's not attractive, because women with their clothes, with the way that they look, they will attract the men, and so they have to wear something which they don't allow the attraction. She has to cover up herself so that people who are not allowed to look at her don't look at her. So if you wear something like a trousers, or if you wear makeup, or if you wear perfume, you're attracting other people to look at you, and this in itself might cause a little bit of the issue. Yani it prevents the issue, which is what Islam is trying to do, which is to keep people segregated, in the sense that there is no false attractions in that regards. So trousers, if you are wearing it in the street or at school or outside the house when you're older, they will actually show the shape of your body, and this is not accepted unless you are wearing something which is like trousers, but over the trousers is a long coat, for example. So trousers by themselves will show the size of the legs. That is not acceptable. But if you are wearing trousers underneath a coat, or you are wearing trousers, for example, at home, you are married and you are a wife and you just wear the trousers in front of your husband, that's nothing wrong with that. But when there are people who are in the house who you should dress modestly, then you should try to wear something which is loose, something that's not going to show the shape of your body, and also you should guard yourself from wearing attractive clothes as well. The second question by our last caller for the day was, is it haram to use a slang? Slang is basically the language which is sort of more, it's not the proper language, but more of a easy language that is used on the street and so on. So if that language doesn't have any bad, is not abusive, does not mean anything bad, does not mean anything nasty, then you can use it, because slang is just like a form of using abbreviated language or street language. But if that language is abusive, if you are going to be, with your language you are going to offend people, if this language is not clear, not understandable by people, or it is a type of language which mocks others, then you have to keep away from that. So slang as a slang is not haram, but the way that you use it, that's what makes it halal and haram. My dear respected viewers, you've been with us on the program which is The Winning Goal. Today we spoke about persistence in our achieving our aims and our goals, and inshallah after that we said our vision, our goals has to be guided by morals. So inshallah in the next few episodes we're talking about the morals and the ethic codes. So be with us inshallah next week, Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
This is a new generation. If they're going to draft these young black men and send them over to Korea or South Vietnam to face 800 million Chinese.
جئت بي